Special send-off for a special woman with Operation Smile. The nonprofit provides free surgeries to people around the world with facial deformities.
Now the organization is honoring one of its own. 13 News Now anchor Ernie LeBeau spoke with a nurse who dedicated her life to serving others.
I love going on missions because of the children and the families.
Every once in a while, you meet someone like Cindy Ragland, who for 36 years served as a nurse, helping babies in the neonatal intensive care unit while also lending a hand to Operation Smile. For 13 years, Ragland traveled around the world with teams helping bring smiles to the tiniest faces.
They're the ones that are the special people. They're the ones that drive what we're doing and why we're there.
After 21 years with Operation Smile, Ragland is recognized as being just as special.
She's devoted her life to health and through health to helping others.
Friends and family gather to wish Ragland farewell as she sets off into retirement, writing notes, sharing memories, and singing songs.
It's really hard to express how a single individual can have such impact, whether it's in a person or in a community or in the world.
But for someone who spent her life serving others, this isn't goodbye, but rather a send-off to her next mission. I'm Ernie LeBeau, 13 News Now.